understand that.
Coach.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let's talk about that first, coach. Well, when we say coach, people, they might not understand what that means. What does that mean to you?
That's just coming back to our roots, man,
right.
and taking me back to when the old heads was living and doing, being our example for us,
right.
The real old heads, the ones that was the men that was pouring into our life, even the women that was pouring into our life. Because the women that you hear them talk, they'll say coach too,
right.
But the people that poured into our life, man, that's how they talk,
Right.
And so we adapted that. That's how Coach Dabney took his name, that's just how it happened.
That's it.
That's how I learned it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
and all our parents, they wouldn't say Coach Dabney, they would say coach.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how you spell it. We say Coeich.
No, I believe it's Coiech.
ECH.
Yeah.
Coach Dabney.
Coach Dabney. Yeah.
But you know what? Like I said, he would coach a football team, and a lot of times it just be him.
Yeah.
And he had to do everything back then. So, what would I know you spent a lot of time with you and I. Unfortunately, we were just at his funeral. Just a couple about a week ago.
Yep.
And I had the pleasure of talking to him, and with me, Coach, he when I was in a couple of my darkest hours as a head coach,
mm-hmm.
he actually reached out to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that really meant a lot. You know what I'm saying? Just being around him. For me, like being around Coach Dabney was like. Do you remember the movie Malcolm X with Denzel Washington? Do you remember when the first time he had met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he couldn't even look at him? Like he was just so, just so impressed and just so in awe of his of everything, this body of work that this man did as a coach,
mm-hmm.
and the respect that our parents have for this man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even related to this man, but it felt like he was part of my family.
Yeah.
I mean, did you feel like it's kind of similar for you?
You finna laugh at me, Chop.
Talk to me.
I used to be scared of Coach. Serious, man.
He's a big man. He's big.
It wasn't he was big.
Right.
It was the stories that people would tell me about how he would handle, not handle, but he was a no nonsense type of guy.
Right.
You heard about, even at the funeral, a little lady was talking about how he called him a pain in his,
right.
rump,
Right.
And Coach was a no nonsense type of guy. I won't say I was scared of him because I had his wife, Miss Dabney, as my guidance counselor, so she would talk to me about him and whatnot. I think it was more of a respect thing and a fear that I don't want to disappoint him, and this is why. And I didn't learn this till later in life, but my dad, my biological father and Coach was real close.
Right.
Coach would always tell me that's like my son, And so even now as an adult, I looked at him like, well, that's like my grandfather, I'll never forget, man. It was I believe it was June of 2020. I preached the Father's Day sermon, and Coach was sitting in the back of the church. And he said, after service was all over with, Coach still sitting in the back where he sat, all in the back corner. I can see him like he's sitting there now. The right hand side of the church, if he's facing the back doors, the right hand side of the church, he was sitting on the left side of the pew, all the way in the back. He just sat back there, man, and he just chill out, man, worshiping the Lord, doing his thing. After the service, man, he said, son, you're going somewhere. I was like, he said, regardless of what it looked like, you just keep on doing what you're doing.
Right.
Regardless of what people are saying out there in the streets, you just keep on doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And he said this to him. He goes, we all know the color of your skin, and we all know that sometimes that's not favorable in our area. But you just keep on doing what you're doing.
You do what you do.
The people that are right, they're gonna do right by you. The people that are wrong, leave them be and leave them where they at.
Right.
And so I took that to heart when he told me that. And so as my coaching career started, we all know it started off crazy anyway because the situation where I became the interim head coach, we had to go play. day before the game, here Larry come to me and say, "Hey, Coach, you the interim head coach." I'm like, "What the world?
Right.
What you mean the interim head coach? It's so many other people out here that can do this." Long story short, we win that game, and then we go into the playoffs against Nature Coast, and we lose. Coach called me. He's like, "You just keep on doing what you're doing." I'm like, "But we lost." And it made me understand that moment right then that my job as a head coach at this point for this era is not to win football games. There was something greater and bigger that God needed me for.
Right.
And that happened. That's when and this is me personally. This is how I feel when Antonio died. I feel that God needed me there to be the staple and the glue to hold this stuff together for these kids that love the game so much and love their brother so much. During the process, Chuck, we was losing football games. This was right before Antonio died. I'm losing football game, and coaches called me. "I need you to keep doing what you're doing. It's okay." He said, "I'm reading." He said, I read the paper. I know what being a coach. I know what it looked like.
Right.
But I know what the other side looked like as well.
Absolutely.
And he said, "Keep on doing what you're doing, son."
That's it.
Now, Chop, Coach would sit on the phone with me. I'm sorry. I would sit on the phone with Coach for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Right.
Almost every Saturday.
That's awesome.
And that's him talking to me. Not me. God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth. 2 ears to listen more, 1 mouth to talk less. So I listened to what he had to say, and so I followed that, man. And my win-loss record as a head coach is probably greater than any coaches that ever went to Citrus High School.
Right.
Because I don't look at the victories of winning a football game. I look at the kids that pass through. I look at the kids and not just the kids, and the parents that pass through that say, "Coach, thank you, because we couldn't have done this without you." Little they know it wasn't me, it was a God in me that was able to carry us through those moments in the tough times.
And those W's are bigger than any W's you can ever win on the field.
Yes.
Just winning, winning the respect and winning the heart of people. You know what I'm saying? And that's awesome. I think that's truly the reason why God, gave us this gift to do what we do. Not for the championship. And that's fun. That's what we do. We all are competitors. Yeah. That's the reason we play the sport and the reason that we also coach the sport. But just to minister to the people, minister God's will to the people. Yeah. So I think that's awesome.
Sharp. Everybody want that ring. Everybody want that big title. Everybody want that. Everybody want that.
And we've won it. I see you got your. Yeah. I don't have mine, but let me see your coat. Put it out there.
There it is, right here.
Yeah.
That's it, right there.
That's it. I got what I hadn't worn mine, but yeah, man. Me and Coach got the same championship ring.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, man, that it was an honor to work with you that time. For you to allow me to be a part of that with you, man. That was an honor, man. I learned from you during that process of what it takes, even more so to build a team.
Right.
That was probably one of that's my most memorable moment as a coach, man. Is us going down there, as us going to what was it at Panama City?
Right.
Panama City, man, and watching those young men. Really, man, we just sat back, man, and watched them guys work.
Wasn't that fun?
That was fun.
And I tell you, it was me, you, and Coach O'Brien, and y'all my brothers, man. I mean, when you coach, it ain't just it's not a superficial relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's a deep bond that you have with each other. Yep. And I don't think I could have done it. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't have you two gentlemen up there with me. Right. I mean, I had you there, Coach. You were just motivating these kids, and I had one kid. He didn't really make weight. But you knew what the kid had to do to make weight with your wrestling background. Here I am. I couldn't believe this kid had ate a whole steak and a whole potato before, knowing that we had a championship the next morning. But you took him outside. You didn't get on to him like I see you get on to a lot of kids. But you were patient with him because you knew what he, once he made weight, what he's got to deal with. Because that's pressure. When you're on that big stage, you're at the state championship. That's a lot of pressure that you're dealing with.
Chuck, one thing I learned as a coach is that is that there's a time and place for me to be like Yosemite Sam and just be like ready to just blow everything up and just be like irate and mad. There's a time and place for that.
Right.
When I looked at that young man and he walked out and he didn't make weight and he felt defeated, I know that I didn't have to go and get onto him and just drag him. I've seen coaches do that now. I've seen coaches just, a kid already beating himself up. They just want to take him down that mud, man, and just keep putting him in the mud.
Right.
No, it's grace. Come here. I told him, come here, man, let's go. I said, we're going to fix this. Oh, I'm over. I said, how much are you over? I think he was 2 pounds over.
2 pounds over.
He was 2 pounds over.
The day of the meet.
The day of, he had an hour to make weight, I think it was.
Right.
I said, well, we're going to get the weight off of you. He said, Coach, I can't. I said, you have to trust the process, son. It's going to be tough, but you got to trust the process. I said, go run me a mile. And he took off. He did a mile. I said, yeah, he took off. He went and ran the mile. I said, how you feeling? He said, okay. I said, go run me another one. And I knew that after he ran the second mile, that the weight was off. But I wanted him to really be sure. I said, now, with all your clothes on, I want you to go sit on the toilet and try and go to the bathroom.
Right.
He couldn't go. I said, well, you can't go? I said, here, you guys dry him out. They dried him out, chop. He went away. He said, Coach, how did you know? I said, it's just something that I know. You know, I just know how to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
Wish I knew how to do that with myself.
Right.
but you know,
take me out in the run me. I need to get his belly off me.
I wouldn't do that to you. Man. Listen, that's torture. we already had our time out there, man.
Right. We washed up.
Blowing that whistle and hit it, you know?
Right.
So but I knew that if I'd have got on him, man, like heavy, that I knew he was gonna make the weight. I knew that.
Right.
Because that's something that I've been really good at. You know, you're gonna make the weight.
Right.
But if I'd have really went down on him hard, he wouldn't have been able to go and perform.
Right.
And he was there to perform.
Right.
He was
and we're talking about Alex Bavario. So if you listen to that, Alex Bavario, Coach talking about you right now. He performed well that
Coach, he performed well. Alex performed like a champion that day.
Right.
Not all the kids did, but in particular, when you go through what I put him through, because I didn't just let him jog. I said, you got to run this.
Right.
You can't. This is not a jog. You don't. Matter of fact, time is not on your side right now.
Right.
So you got to go.
Right.
And when he came, how you feel, Coach? I'm good. I'm running. Take off, go again. And so I knew that if I had beat him down, Coach, he wouldn't have made it through it, man. He might have benched okay, but when it came back to the clean, because the clean is really hard. We all know that. That's really technical. The kid already feeling defeated.
Right.
I needed to be more of a support and lift up for him. You know.
Right.
So.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Coach, how do you think the game of football has changed since you first started coaching?
Yeah, that's tough, Chuck. You know, you hear about people getting, running the power eye. You hear about people running spread. We're going to run with zone read. You know, when I played football, man, there wasn't no zone read stuff going on.
Right.
We put our hand in that dirt and we got after it.
That's it.
You know, when I came back to you in Lecanto, I didn't hear much of this because I feel like Harper was a head in the ground type of guy. But when we got to Citrus and Tremonti was a line coach, they were talking about kids being in a 2-point stance, and I'm scratching my head like saying,
spread.
Wait,
right.
What in the world y'all talking about?
Right.
We go, man, y'all better put y'all hand in the dirt.
Right. So we're not the New York Jets.
but O'Brien. Well, after Nate had left,
Coach Vonador, shouts out to Coach Vonador.
Yeah, shouts out to Nate, man. Nate
and Coach Tremonti and Coach O'Brien.
Yeah. So Nate, man, Nate had his idea of what it looked like, and we ran with it, and it looked good, But I'm just here. I am a new guy. I'm still trying to learn it. Like, man, this is. Now I'm back in high school coaching now, and it's a little different. Like.
Not a lot of teams are doing that too.
Now
you see a lot of spread.
You see a lot of spread. You see a lot of spread. You see a lot of zone read.
Right.
And
it worked though. I mean, because you look back, that was the first team in this area to ever beat Nature Coast. So, shout out to Coach Vonador for putting us in that 2-point stance and like showing something different.
Yeah.
Because if we were in the wishbone or power out,
We
just
would-
going straight at them.
we wouldn't have beat them.
We wouldn't have beat them. They'd have beat us 50-0.
50.
Right.
Man, it'd have
I
been,
mean,
a Vanguard game like we had when I was in senior high school, 68-9. They would have roasted us.
right.
They would have beat us so bad it would have been terrible.
Right.
We had to spread them out.
Right.
We had to run spread on everybody because we was fast, man. We really were fast. Even offensive line wise, we had the Bartoli boys, the Bartoli brothers, those guys, man, Remley and all those guys. They were fast. They moved well,
Right.
and so we were able to do different things. And then when I'm gonna say this, when OB came,
Yes.
after Nate resigned, OB came, shut the front door.
Right.
That fella, man, he brought something to the table that was just unreal.
Absolutely.
You know, shout out to OB
Right.
for bringing something different to our program, man.
Right.
It was phenomenal.
I will say one thing I did learn from Coach O'Brien. Whenever he took over, as a head coach, he had certain athletes, that we already had in the place. He was there for that 1 year, but he was able to identify people's strengths, and he ran plays based off of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We had 2 running backs, and we had 2 stellar receivers, and Malachi Cooks and what's my boy Stick? What's the real name?
Julius Gardner.
So they were 2 spectacular receivers. And then we had T.J. Wings, and we had Zaire Wilcox.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew how to divide the pie and give everybody the ball and make everybody happy with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was cool just kind of seeing that. And that's one thing that I learned and kind of took with me when I became a head coach. So,
Right.
and I like that. He was a real person, just like you're a real person. I mean, when he first met me, I'm talking about Coach O'Brien. And I respect real recognizes real and real, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I just love being around real people. He told me, he's like, listen, he said, I know you coach defense, but I got a guy coming down here, he's gonna do it. And I'm like, cool, you know what I'm saying? I'm just cool with being a coach. But I just like that, he wasn't gonna give it to me. I had to get on the board and show him and prove myself to him that I was capable of stopping offenses, whenever needed. So,
Right.
Thought that's pretty cool. So, Coach, what advice would you give an aspiring coach who's just starting their coaching journey?
I would. The best advice I can give a coach that a new head coach is starting would be to make sure that you surround yourself with people that are like-minded like you.
Right.
And like what we had, I knew what you was thinking half the time.
Right.
When I was your assistant, when I was up in the box for you, I knew what you was thinking half the time. I knew why you was thinking it. So
you made my job easy.
Well,
take a coach. Explain our relationship on the field and off the field, because because you helped me in the box. I mean, if I was a defensive coordinator, you know what I'm saying? You coached DBs, you coached defensive linemen 1 year, and you got to be able to think alike as
but it's more to it than that game.
Right.
I gotta be able to look on that field when open that box. Hey man, Macho Man going through a tough time right now, man. You might want to go ahead. You might want to take him and put him somewhere else. Things that you may not see,
right.
And then you'll look at it and be like, "Yep." And so you'll say, "Coach, what about if we move so and so here, so and so here, so and so here?" And then the response might be okay, or it may be, "Will that leave us open somewhere else?" Or da da da. We had to really, really think about. We really had to think a lot alike, you know. And so when you draw out the scouting report, mine should look something similar.
Right.
If it didn't, I would just marry what I had on mine to yours and just be like, okay, it all looked the same. He got this one extra thing. He didn't put this, so he didn't feel like it. But I'm gonna keep it on mine just in case I see a tendency happen or come up or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And then, chop, here it comes. This what I'm thinking gonna happen. And if you didn't like it, you'd be like, we're gonna wait and see. If you did, Coach, I appreciate it. I don't think there was ever a time that me and you ever had a disagreement about it at all.
Never had a disagreement. And that comes to the fact that you knew the playbook. You know what I'm saying? You knew the scouting reports. a lot of the young coaches, they don't really take the time to learn that playbook or to kind of go over the scouting report. But they don't really. That's a key component to putting everybody on the same page. You know what I'm saying? You got to be together on that. You
Yes.
know.
And-
So and I appreciate that. I mean, because like a lot of just the fact that right before a game, I would never be too nervous, but just to have mental clarity, you be singing old spiritual hymns in my ear. You know what I'm saying? Or you do like, hey, step to the side and pray. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you first one that got me to kind of pray before the game, and we kind of pray together on the headphones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You be in the box,
yeah,
you be scanning the field. I mean, before the game, you pointing out different things. Hey, that quarterback, different quarterback in the game. You know what I'm saying? So hey,
yeah.
the same quarterback we seen on film,
We
they
didn't see
run
it,
up with a
yeah.
different quarterback.
Yeah, right.
You know,
right.
and like you always had the right, like when it was time to switch up, you always knew the right thing to jump into. Like I remember one time I was getting gashed on a run. I forgot who we were playing, but you like, hey coach, hey, once you let's jump into an odd front. Hey, stick a nose out there, and here we are stopping them.
Yeah.
I say, hey coach, we need to change coverage. Hey, we need to go from a cover one, let's go up to a roll up cover four. And and I would never second guess you. I would be listening to what you say, and I would automatically just jump into it. That's just the trust that you and I had, and it was nice to have that.
Chop, a lot of times when you're coaching, well, let me say this first. Coaches spend a lot of time investing in kids. The biggest mistake that coaches make is this mistake that we didn't make was that you got to be able to invest in your coaches as well. We got to be able to invest into each other.
Right.
We got to spend time together. I got to lift you up. You got to lift me up.
Right.
The biggest, you had, for the weighting team, you had to show the brotherhood. That the coaching, the brotherhood has got to be a true brotherhood. It can't be something phony. It can't be, hey man, you my guy right now. Then next week, man, you're talking about me in the streets,
Right.
or you're up in the stands talking about me, or he terrible with this, he terrible with that, And so if they invest in one another, that's how you become great.
Right.
I'm gonna say we didn't win a state championship in football, but we were great.
Right.
As coaches, I really felt we had a great thing, and it showed. If we'd have had some of the dudes that they had down south, that like from Armwood or something,
Right.
we would have been a lot better. But in our area, we don't have those studs like that, man.
Right.
And if we had them, they at the other private schools, and so it's you invest in each other, you produce the best product, man, and you just move on.
Right.
That's just how I feel about it.
One of the things I like about especially what you and I were able to do, some of these athletes, we were able to make them believe that they were better than what they were. You know what I'm saying? And I think as a coach, that's probably like the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like bringing out of that kid more. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be pushing them through sprints, whether it be getting on to them about the simplest thing, just to kind of see where they are mentally. You know what I'm saying? And if they can handle that mentally, that means they can get better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just seeing, if they are going to make the corrections that you tell them to make.
Right.
If a kid ain't coachable, then you really can't. It really ain't much to work with. But
Right.
luckily, like I said, that trust that we were talking about before, that went a long way with these kids, and they trusted us, and they were able to play a lot better, than anybody else was able to coach them.
Yep. And the balance that we had, man, was great. We had that one athlete, Jacob.
Right. Jacob Fryer. Hey.
Jake, I love you, man. I do.
Jacob.
Seriously talk, man. Jake loved me. He did, man.
Right.
Jake loved me. He did. But you was his coach.
Right.
You was his coach, man. That guy, he looked at you in a whole other light, And so my mindset, I was always, I'm gonna correct it. I'm gonna correct it. Whether I pissed him off or not, I made him mad. I'm gonna correct him.
Right.
I knew that after I did it, hey Chop, you gonna have to go talk to Fryer.
Right. Right. Listen.
And I know you when I said to you, be like, man, this fella here, man. man, why cousin had to go piss Fryer off or whatever,
Right.
But in the process, man, guess what happened? We made this young man better.
Right.
And we made him accountable for his actions.
Right.
Because you just didn't say, well, never mind what Coach Frank said. You reeled him in you're gonna give Coach Frank what he asked for,
Right.
and you're gonna be respectful. I get what you, and you tell him. Understand what you're saying, but you're gonna respect the coach at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, and so that was awesome in our relationship that we was able to do things like that. You know,
Right.
and play good cop, bad cop. We had to.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Good cop, bad. A lot of times you were so much in the bad cop because Coach Frank, listen. I've never seen kids long roll, monkey roll, flip tires, run hills. I mean, do stadiums, coach. I mean, and like, coach, have you kids drunk water yet? No, they don't need no water. Let them kids. Very, very old school with
water for the week.
Water for the week. But you had a way of making these kids tough. Like I said, he was one of those kids, Jacob Fry, that we really brought the best of him. You know, I wish that he had really took it to that next level and played in college because I think the world missed out on him. He was a real talent.
Yep.
He was a very, very talented kid.
Yes, he was.
So, Coach, you and I both know that it's tough being a head coach. Did you face adversity? And if so, how did you deal with it?
You know, Chop, I'm not going to call it adversity because as a Christian, man, we have to go through the fire.
Right.
You know, it takes us back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You know, when they had to go through the fiery furnace. You know, and the king looked in there, man, and he saw 4 people. He saw 4 images and not just 3. So I had to go through a fire to go to get to my next destination and where I'm going. I had to be refined as well.
Right.
I had to be purified. God's still working on me. He ain't through me yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but with all that being said, man, the adversity the only adversity that I had was within myself.
Right.
And me saying, God, can I continue to do this? Because this boy, some lonely nights.
Right.
It's some tough nights.
Right. When you're winning, everybody's shaking your hand, patting you on the back. But if you're losing and things ain't going right, you know, it's basically just you and your wife. You know what I'm saying? To try to pick up the pieces.
And I'm gonna tell you something. My wife ain't no football type of gal. So it was basically me. Now she would, honey, you okay? And I had to look at her like this, look at her sideways, like, nah, I just got my butt handed to me, you know.
Right.
Now I'll say this, you know, and a lot of people look at me and say I'm crazy, but you know, I would go into that Monday morning meet with Larry, and he would talk to me about what was going on in the field, but he understood what I was going through with our team at the time.
Right.
He knew that first off, that I was a new head coach.
Right.
And I was in the process of building. People saying that they would come and be a part of it, you know. And this is after you had accepted the job at Lecanto, right?
Right.
I'm out now searching, trying to get my staff on. People, yeah, I'm gonna come. No, I'm not gonna do this. Yeah, I'm gonna be. No, I'm not. And so now I'm trying to to build a program, to establish a staff and whatnot. When I might have been better off just doing it Coach Dabney and doing it by myself until I got everybody on board to say, you know, this is the way it needed to look, or this is the way, not the way it looked. That everybody to say, Coach, we're going to follow your lead.
Right.
If you say, Coach, we're going to get in a double tight and run the option from a double tight, then that's what we're going to do. You know, that's crazy. Don't do that. New coaches, if you're watching at home, don't get a double tight and don't try to run a wishbone option out of it, all right?
Well, we probably going to see that this year. Somebody like, you know what, draw it up on the board and take it work.
Hey, you know who would draw it up?
Who's
The
that?
shout out to this fella, man, because I love him. Joe George. Joseph George. Joe be like, you said I can't do that? Watch me.
Right.
He'll take his hat, turn it sideways,
That's it.
and he'll get to working, man.
And
you
he'll
know?
make it happen.
He'll make it happen,
That's
you know.
it.
But yeah, man. You know, when I was building the program, man, I was so desperate to try and get people in place,
Right.
because I didn't want to have to do it all by myself.
Right.
So it didn't. I was just like, it was like a hurry thing and quick thing, you know.
Right.
And now that's on the podcast about the head coach anymore, I can just say it, you know. It was tough.
Right.
There were several days that I would go sit at my house
Mm-hmm.
on a Friday night. My kids decided they wanted to go be with their friends and whatnot, and I had to sit at my kitchen table like this right here, man, going, "What the world did I get myself into?"
Right.
And times I wanted to look at Larry and say, "What the world you hired me for a head coach for?"
Right.
You know, I did, you know, but God knew best. God knew what needed to happen.
Right.
You know, God knew what the school needed. God also knew what I needed.
Right.
God also knew that I need to be refined and I need to have myself in a certain way so that I could deliver the message that He wanted me to deliver, not the message that McKinley Franklin wanted to deliver.
Absolutely.
Because you know that message that me and you deliver sometime in our flesh.
It might not be the best message for them to hear.
Now, I'm going to say this. I'll never forget this day, Chop. We was at Lecanto. Greg Copper had us running that county fair. And because I was working them.
Right.
And Tanner Brenneman said, "You trying to effing kill us." I said to him, I said, "If you die, you die." Do you know that kid remembers that? And he said, "Coach, that made me who I am today."
Right.
You making me work through the most difficult times that I've ever been through with the adversity that he was already going through,
Right.
you know, and me just saying that I don't care about what you're going through right now.
Right.
That's not you have to get through this.
That's it.
Whether it's easy, hard, and whatever it may be, you got to get through this.
Right.
You got to be a leader.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, there are times that I've said stuff that I was second guessed, but now when these kids come back and look at me, Tanner Brenneman embraced that.
Right.
And so did the guys that were around him. Because at the wedding, they were talking to me about it.
That's
Coach,
awesome.
Coach, it made us who we are.
That's it.
Tanner's mother sitting right next to me right here when he said it.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at me like, "You said that?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I sure did." You know?
But he didn't take it as,
no, he didn't take it. I was like,
Coach don't like me.
Right.
He knew you loved him first.
Yes,
But sometimes when you and you know out there coaching, you just say stuff. You know what I'm saying? See if it sticks. If it don't stick, then you know you scrap it and try something else. But it stuck with him in a way that it benefited him. You know what I'm saying? And with Tanner, you know, and like any other kid I coach, I always tell them it's always a little bit more that you have in you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to push yourself to that point to where your body shuts down and you're tired, you're fatigued, you're sweating and everything. But there's always a little bit more.
You've always said that. You've always said that, Chop.
And that's what we got to push them to that point. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like they're going to stop at a certain point. You know what I'm saying? But if they're coachable and they really respect you as a coach, they're going to allow you to push them even further.
Even further, yeah.
So I always thought that was, that was real key to what we did. So, Coach, what legacy or impact would you like to leave behind as a football coach?
Chop, the thing, I don't want to leave a legacy behind as a football coach. I'm gonna tell you why. Because there are hundreds of thousands of football coaches out there in this world that we see do this, do that, and I don't want my identity to be my legacy to be identified as a coach. I want my identity to be identified as a son of Christ.
Right.
And that's the legacy I want to leave behind. I want every coach, every student athlete, every student, not just the student athlete, but the student as well, administrators, everyone. I want them to know that the things that I do are not because I want to coach a kid, but I want to do things that's going to glorify the kingdom of God and it's going to put me in a place to where God can use me and continue to use me so that when these kids are broken, when they're hurt, when they're going through the things in life, that they know they have somebody to come to that's not going to look at them and crucify them to the cross.
Right.
Because I don't put anybody in heaven or hell. But what I can do is I can be that example to keep them from going to hell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So as far as a coach, man, I don't even. To me, that's like third nature. That's even. Yeah, I'm a coach, but first and foremost, man, we are children of God, and so that's what my legacy live on, because I'm not going to be on that field uh, in the future as I get older. There's going to come a point in time to where Coach Frank going to be sitting back, man, in his chair, hopefully giving the advice to some coach or to some person that I got from my mentor, Coach Dabney.
Right.
And not just him. I'm gonna tell you the best example of this, other than Coach Dabney, is Lorenzo Fields.
Right.
Lorenzo Fields. He's assistant principal at Hernando High School. He's one of my spiritual mentors, one of my coaching mentors, man. And I think the world of that guy, man. I take my son to for training, and when my son is going through a rough time and struggling, Coach Fields brings something spiritual to it, not the game of football.
Right.
Brings something spiritual. Coach Dabney never talked X's and O's with me.
Right.
He talked to me about life and about spirituality and being the person that you need to be, that God called you to be.
Right.
Not, Coach, you got to get out of that 4-3 defense. You know you ain't got, your linebackers ain't good enough to be in a 4-3 defense. You can't be in that 3-3 stack, Coach, because you don't have that dude in the middle like you need.
Right.
That's not what they did to me. They fed me the living fruit, the living water that Jesus said that He'll give to us, that we'll never thirst again.
Right.
God used them to give me that so I could keep going. So that's what I want to leave behind. I want to be able to be that guy. Here, you can keep going no matter what you're going through.
Right.
You're a band student. It's tough carrying that big old tube around.
Right.
You can do it.
You keep going.
You just keep going.
That's it.
You're in drama. You can't remember those lines. Pray about it. Pray about that thing. God will give it to you.
Right.
It's this is bigger than just holding that whistle, twirling it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's it. It's all about, we're in the people business. You know what I'm saying, and making them a complete person. I mean, because like football gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? Football has an expiration date, as far as you being able to play it. You may be able to coach it until you're 90-something years old, but you have got to be able to give them something more than just football to take with them after their time with you is all done, after they graduate.
But Chop, even this, man, I'm gonna say this, the greatest coach to me, the greatest coach of all time. Not even a coach. He's a coach, but he was a coach. But when you talk to this fella, it wasn't like talking to a coach.
Can I guess who it is?
You already know who it is.
Bobby Bowden.
The man,
Right.
Lou Compostela, a good friend of mine, man, introduced me to Coach Bowden, man, a while back. And the relationship that developed between Coach Bowden and I, man, was great. It was just unreal, man. Like, I'm sitting at my first time meeting him, he called me in his office to sit down at his desk and eat donuts and drink coffee. I'm sitting at his desk,
right,
eating donuts and drinking coffee while he's sitting on the windowsill over there, and we looking at the same football field.
Right.
And he asking me, "How does this feel?" Man, what you mean? I'm sitting with a legend,
like $1 million in cash.
Yes, sir, man. And so that's the kind of legacy that I want to leave back. The guy that, he's a coach, but you know what? This human being right here, allowed God to use him, and he was not just about the X's and O's in life, not just about the black and gold. He was about the kids in his community. He was about the families in his community, and being able to help as many people as he can. So that's what I want to leave behind.
That's awesome, man. I tell you, man, just to be, when it's all said and done, and you at the pearly gates, and God say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Like you've done what I asked you to do. I tell you what, man, if we've done that, that's worth more than anything we can do here on earth.
Well, it says in 2 Timothy, I fought the fight.
Right. I
ran the race.
That's it.
I ran the good race, is what
right.
it says. That's what I'm here
It's
for.
Apostle Paul,
You
right?
know, yep. We are fighting the fight.
Right,
We are running the race.
right.
You know, we've talked about this, Chop. This ain't just about our black and gold. You know, at the end of the day, man, when I die, I promise you, I won't be wearing this here scar. I won't be wearing this. Now, somebody may try and set this in my coffin, and that's okay.
Right.
But I won't be wearing that hat. I won't have this citrus shirt on underneath.
Right.
You know, I may have my ring on because I don't want nobody to steal it and do something and wear somebody where they supposed to be wearing it. But
Right.
you know, that may go with me. But Chop, when I die, all that stuff gonna be gone. That's gone anyway, man.
Right.
I'll be made whole and I'll be in heaven. And I'll be in a new body. I'll be a new person. You know, if a man is with Christ Jesus, old things have passed. All things are new.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't worry about. I'm not into it for this stuff right here.
Right.
No, I was.
Mm-hmm.
I was. When we beat Nature Coach, you don't think, man, that's all I thought about was this black and gold?
Right.
And that was it.
Right.
But when you come down from that and you allow God to use you for his purpose, and then God put you in a place to where you can't see nothing but him, you don't think about this like
You
this.
don't think about it. You're right. You're absolutely right. So, Coach, lastly, can you tell me when you plan to run for mayor so you can finally get the props you deserve?
Chop, man, why you mess with me like that, man?
I'm just saying, listen, I will say this, man. When it comes to just somebody being genuine and like you know, you're popular. You're extremely popular, especially in this town. And you know, people outside this town, you know, they don't know it. I mean, but it ain't by you going out and being somebody who you think that people should like, and you know, just try to like, you know, push yourself up, try to be like, you know, the man or whatever. You have a genuine spirit about you that people are drawn to. You know what I'm saying? And you know, football coaching, that's something that, you know, young men do, but you know, it's like a young man's game. You know what I'm saying? I know it's gonna be stuff that you're gonna want to do later on in the future. And I can see you being the mayor of Inverness, or you know, and just being in like some kind of politics or something like that. I think this town needs that. You know?
Now, I was joking with somebody. I can't remember who it was. It might have been John Bolin. You know, I love John Bolin. I've been coaching baseball with him.
Shout out to John
Bolin. How you doing, man? Love you, brother.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, we was talking about something, you know, and it's like, think about me back. I said, John, I said, don't you know who I am? He looked at me, I said, I'm the mayor of Citrus High School, along with Caden. Lord, so I said, we co-mayors of Citrus High School, man.
Right.
I got this, you know, and joking with him saying that, you know, but, you know, Chop, man, I can say this, I don't deserve to be a mayor. That's just how I feel. But whatever God has for me, he has for me. If that's the direction God send me in down the road, then that's where I go. Right now, man, you know, I'm doing something totally different, man, and I'm enjoying it, you know. And so as long as God continue to bless me in what I'm doing now, I'll stay there. I'm sure that he doesn't let us sit at one level. He likes to elevate us,
right?
You know, but his elevation may be in a totally another area. I don't know. Whatever God has for me, man, is for me, and so that's how I carry on. You know.
Well, that's awesome, man. But I can see you, man. Listen, Coach Franklin for president, what, 2028?
No, man. No, man.
Hey, listen, I just started a campaign.
Don't you start that?
Hey, listen, I'm about to start selling buttons. Coach Franklin for president of the United States of America. Listen, man, I just want to be there for the ride. Take me on the plane with you.
Listen, let me get on the city council first. Let me be a city councilman first.
Right.
And work my way through it. If I'm going to go, let me work my way through that way and then see how that works, you know?
There you go.
You don't say about politicians, Chop. All they do is tell a lie, you know?
Right. Hey, but you can change that. You can be the first one to be like, you know what?
I can change that, yeah.
You can pray before you speak and change the world with that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Coach, man, listen, man, it's always a pleasure to chop it up with you, man. And if you ever want to come back on the show,
hey, listen, man, when I'm coming back, man, you let me know.
Listen,
You let me know when I'm coming back, man. You set a time and date. Guess what? I'll come and chop it up with you.
I tell you what, man. Put in the comments, man. If y'all want anybody on the show, if y'all want Ken to come back, I have Ken on the show every single week, and we can just sit here and chop it up about politics and
Everything,
sports,
man.
life, anything.
Yes, man.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? But I mean, you know, people need to hear that. People ain't entertained by, superstars anymore.
Right.
They want to hear like regular people. You know what I'm saying? And we just regular people. You know what I'm saying? Like if you sit down and have a conversation with us, you know, we ain't nobody to really put on like a pedestal. You know, we like to put God on the pedestal and have people see Him through us.
Support our channel by subscribing, sharing with friends, and dropping a comment to let us know who we should interview next.
Come by anytime, my brother.
Yes, sir, man.
Anytime.